Hello and welcome again to another exciting episode of Side Stories, everybody.
Got a really special one for you today.
Yes, it is a very special episode because it is our first and last episode of Season 4, as we called it.
This is the series finale, if you will.
I know. I apologize for the sudden shift in pace here. We thought we were going to have a lot more episodes, but things have changed. Our buddy Darian here. Darian, what's going on with you?
I'm going to make some life changes.
He's moving to the moon.
I am.
No, he's moving down to Texas probably.
Or the moon, one or the other.
Basically the same thing.
And there's no podcasting on the moon, so...
There's no podcasting in Texas either. Little known law. It's a state statute.
Yeah.
That's not true. But yes, this will be our last episode of Side Stories, at least for now. Maybe one day in the future, who knows when, we'll be able to bring this back. But
perhaps, but for the time being, like Aaron said, I'm planning on moving out of North Dakota, relocating down to Texas, so there's just, too much going on in my life, and it's just trying to keep up with the podcast is a little untenable at the moment, so...
Yeah, we decided that we wanted to give it a proper ending, a proper burial, if you will. And we decided we wanted to send the show off in the right way because I have personally always hated non-resolved endings. I don't mind endings that are like left purposely ambiguous or endings that, there could be more after them, but I really hate ones that are like there was supposed to be resolution, it just never comes.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to leave our non-serial history podcast on a cliffhanger.
I know, right? Well, see, that's how I view it. It's like if you're going to have a podcast that's going to keep uploading, right, and you're going to people to try to view it, you should at least let those people know when you're done with it, right? And I've always hated, there's so many web series or things I've liked online where they just stopped being produced and you never know what happened to the person who was making it, almost like they dropped off the face of the earth. It's like the question, like, did that person die?
Yeah.
It's like, well, what happened to them?
We're not dead.
Yet.
And this is official notice that we are, in fact, done.
Done. For now. It has been a solid over a year run. We started Side Stories in March of 2021, and now it is May of 2022.
We did.
So, yes, we apologize for the long delay in April there, but things change, plans end, and life goes on. So we are here to look back at this is the crux of this episode is our overly self-indulgent, incredibly, what's the word? Self-absorbed history of Side Stories episode where we're looking at our own podcast.
This is where our true colors actually come out.
Yes, we found no fame or fortune of this show, which is not what it was about. But for the next few minutes, we will pretend maybe that it was.
Maybe not for you. I mean, if this was just a solo operation with me, it probably
you would have been able for the high bars of making all the money and getting everywhere.
Be number one on Spotify.
Are you saying that I held you down?
I'm saying that if I were by myself, I'd have more opportunities.
That's all I ever needed to hear.
Which is why I'm moving to Texas.
Yep, he's off to go live his big Texas dream of owning a ranch or something. I don't know. I guess.
No, I'm moving to Austin, I think.
Great.
Probably.
The worst part of Texas. That's the one you pick.
Well, that's your opinion.
That's a fact. All right, seriously, anyone, if you're in Texas right now, even if you live in Austin, you have to agree it is the worst part of that state. The only people who disagree are the hardcore Austinites. That's what I like to call them. Everyone else in Texas will agree it is the absolute worst part of Texas. And I'm not trying to knock your dreams. I'm sure you'll do fine, but it's the worst part for a reason, okay? And it's still part of Texas, so it's not all bad. Don't you get mad at me.
Thank you for making your opinion known.
Yes, you'll do fine. I hope you all the best in your future endeavors. And move to Dallas instead. Or Houston. Nah. Dallas. Santa Fe.
El Paso.
It would be more fun. It'd be more dangerous, too. Well, anyways, barring all of that, let's
just walk around with the big iron on my hip.
That would be fun. That's also Arizona, though. Because Arizona is the real place you go to die in a gunfight.
Oh, yeah.
God bless Arizona, one of the top states. It's a beautiful place. I like it a lot. A lot of my family lives there. I like the cold, however, so I live in North Dakota.
I'll just retire there.
There you go. You can always retire to Arizona or Florida, Darian. You can always live the boomer dream. Having no plan, moving to a place you've never been, and getting a sick job, making tons of money, and then retiring to Florida.
Yep.
The boomer paradise. You're going to live the dream, Darian. So, yes. I guess let's get the quick sappy stuff out of the way. Again, Darian, going to miss you, bud. Thanks for doing the podcast. I appreciate it. This was this is a long time, coming, I guess, because there was, for all of those of you who remember, there was Sidetracks, which was our crappier version of Side Stories, which was the we have no plan, let's record a podcast.
The podcast that shall not be named, except
Yes.
we just named it.
We named... No one cares.
No.
No one cares.
Yeah, I don't know if you can, unless someone like downloaded some of the episodes and put them up somewhere. I don't think you can actually find.
I have them
episodes of
saved
Side
on my
Stories.
computer at least.
But they're not on the internet anymore.
No, but remember, the internet's forever. That you can access them some way, somehow, but not easily. It's not
depends.
like, yeah, it depends. But I know it's still out in the ether somewhere. You know, it's around, just not really.
I think you'd probably have to commit a crime to get to them now.
Probably. Hey, who knows? Maybe one day those will go back up somewhere. I wouldn't mind having kind of like a personal archive of stuff just to have it for, just posterity's sake. Just put it there somewhere. So we'll see. Maybe if I get like famous or rich enough or bored enough, I'll make my own website. Just me.com.
I mean, you don't need that much money or influence to make a website. Literally anyone can have one. They don't cost that much money.
aaronswebsite.com. Dude, actually, crap, I can't give that domain name out for free. Shoot, I need to
Well-
register that one. No, don't you steal that from me.
No, I just want I want to check now if
He's using
that's actually been taken.
He's going to register that now. He's going to
So
hold it in my
is
head.
that Aaron's AARON apostrophe S?
Just S.
Just S.
Bad grammar is always worth it.
And you said .com.
Yes. Website.com.
Well, pending.
Better not bring you to the
That
Aaron.
domain is currently available.
Oh boy, Aaron. That's Aaron website though, is what you looked up. We'll figure it. Well, we know that's free, available. I
No, that's Aaron's website.
guess. Okay. Well, now we know that that's available and out there. Anyways, it's been a long time coming ever since, the side tracks ended. Then we went to Side Stories, which again had more of a plot, for lack of a better term, more of a parameter of what we wanted to do.
I don't know if I had a plot, but it's more focused.
There we go. It had a focus.
We had a particular topic in mind,
Which was history.
History, specifically, lesser known history, rather than sidetracks, which was
Whatever.
what the heck we wanted to talk about.
That
day.
genre was whatever.
Yeah, it was our life basically.
Yeah, it was a slice of life podcast, but our lives aren't that interesting,
Yeah,
so it wasn't that fun. Though I will say I have no shame with it because I did have a lot of fun recording many of those episodes.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely a learning experience. It was our Training Wheels podcast.
Yep, and I think that was a good, great experience. Happy that we did that. Thank you to some of the people who maybe tried to be guests on there, and then those episodes got cut because they sucked. And that brings me to thank you to everyone who guested on Side Stories, which I believe the entire list would be Jacob, Ryan, Casey, Cedric. I think that was everyone who was ever on there outside of us.
I believe so.
Again, thank you all for doing that, by the way. Really appreciate you all watching the show, or listening, whatever you want to call it. And then also for being on the show, because those are some of the most fun episodes to do. We had some really great ones. Again, some of my personal favorites are probably the ones that Casey and I did on the history of serial killers, and then the cooking episode, which was
Those were fun.
So much fun to do. That was great. Plus, they helped us keep our schedule, mostly on track, which was one of the main goals I have with this show, was trying to keep it mostly going each week, which wasn't always possible, but we got pretty close. Those are some of my absolute favorite episodes. And then also, as a side note, these episodes will be staying up. We're not taking these down anytime soon. They're going to stay up and around, so on Spotify and YouTube and wherever else we put these podcasts. So again, just thank you to everyone who was on the show.
Probably not Podbean though.
Probably not. I mean, that might get taken out
We have
eventually.
to pay for that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Or in a week, something like that.
Okay, geez. Well, good thing we didn't go 1 week longer and spend all that money for nothing.
I think it renews on the 18th of May.
Okay, we just won't renew it. Well, I mean, does it stay up on the account then?
That's a really good question.
We'll find out then.
We'll
if this
find out.
podcast is not on podbean.com, then you know how it works.
If for some reason you're listening on Podbean and not Spotify or YouTube or anywhere else,
Thanks.
download Spotify.
Download Spotify. Listen on YouTube.
Yeah.
Pirate this show, but give credit to us and then upload it to every other media app you possibly can.
Or email me and I'll send you a copy of the episode.
Send you a copy. When do we get this podcast on vinyl? I would love that. I've always wanted to have a podcast that was put on vinyl because it's so superfluous and stupid.
We should retroactively have merch for the podcast.
We should after it's done. Well, we could be like every 80s movie ever. It's
Yeah.
like long after it was actually relevant, people still wear T-shirts of this film. or TV show or whatever. It's like you could still buy like newly made t-shirts like Alf on them. That show hasn't been on in how many years, decades?
Except Elf is maybe a little more culturally relevant.
Is it though? I feel like we're at the Alf level by now. Again, ALF, if you don't know what that, look it up. Look on Google. It had a weird ending. Anyways. Okay, back to the actual podcast, because this is becoming a sidetrack episode. We don't talk about anything except
really
the focus. But again, thank you all for being on the show. This has meant a lot to us. It's been a lot of fun to do. But
yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I don't know about you.
Oh, definitely. This was a lot of fun. It was great to be kind of on the historian's, I guess, grind set, for lack of a better term, to get episodes out and doing research constantly and learning new things. I learned a lot doing the show in just the single year we did it. Honestly, I learned
in 2 months.
Yeah, year and 2 months. You're right. I learned more in this year and 2 months doing the podcast than I did in a year and a summer semester of college. So, and I have 3 degrees, as I'm sure you know by listening to the show, because I never stopped mentioning it.
Wait, you have 3 degrees?
I
Wow.
do. Actually, it was a lie. I have 4. No, I was kidding. Nope, I have 3 for some reason. Someone thought that was a smart idea, but I know. Is there any other general thoughts you have?
Aaron has a sociology degree.
No, I don't, actually.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't.
I thought you did.
It's social science, you nerd.
Same thing.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. First off, I don't work at Starbucks, so I don't have a sociology degree. If you have a sociology degree, cope, because I will make fun of you. No, I have absolutely no shame in making fun of people who went into sociology.
I was almost positive you told me you have a sociology degree.
No, it's history, political science, social science.
Yeah, same thing.
Social science is also a degree that I got by just checking a bunch of boxes, and they told me I had it. I had to work for that one.
So it's a sociology degree.
No, because you have to work for that, and you get nothing for it. My degree, I put nothing into it, and I got something out of it. It's the gaming the system degree, Darian. Boy, if we're going to leave you with a lot of material for your stand-up career in Austin, Texas, aren't we? You're just going to start riffing things from the show that no one knows about, and they'll think it's funny because it's, just out of context jokes, which is basically stand-up comedy.
Yeah, pretty much, more or less. That's one way to put it.
Well, speaking of out of context things, actually more like in context. Try to be on context.
Speaking
for
of
once.
context.
Speaking of context, let's talk about some of our favorite moments on the show. Like maybe go deep into them other than having guests on again. So, Darian, what were some of your favorite episodes to record?
Well, I mean, the very first thing that comes to mind is the Everest Galwa episode where the
light fell.
The light fell. That was quite the highlight.
Which, again, we kept in the episode. That was so bizarre because we're sitting here recording the episode. He's telling me about Galwa. He's talking about how the man's about to die, right? And then very dramatically...
I was talking about his descent into alcoholism in prison.
Which was the perfect time to have a great shattering sound effect play in the background of our podcast, because all of a sudden Darian's light fixture goes, ka-choosh, just shatters behind us. We catch it on...
You can hear in real time us like processing it happening as it's falling and us reacting to it.
Mm-hmm. It was such a perfect moment to catch on the podcast. I'm so happy that we just happened to be recording, and we weren't even talking. Like, we had a brief pause and it fell. So there was just the perfect sound of shattering.
I paused because I was in the middle of talking and I could like see it in my peripheral vision falling.
Mm-hmm. I saw it falling behind you, so that's why I stopped, because I was facing it at the time. It felt only like 2 feet away from you or something like that? Maybe 3?
Yeah, so something like that. It was incredibly close. I'm surprised it's not on the glass like hit me.
Yeah, thank God you're all right. It would be as unintentionally funny as it'd be if a light fixture had bonked you in the head during a podcast, which I'm sure you would find funny too.
It's not a Tom and Jerry episode.
It's a Side Stories episode.
Yeah.
It's better.
Well, I don't know. Tom and Jerry's pretty good.
Okay, you're right. It's less violent, typically. Unless we're talking about our main man, Julius Caesar, which brings me to... That still might be my favorite episode. It was long.
That was a really good episode.
But it was one of our most researched. It was very, very fascinating topic and weird. Again, it was like a side quest in his life, because he didn't have to go to Egypt, as I mentioned in the episode. He doesn't have to do all these crazy things. He doesn't have to basically start an Egyptian civil war in the middle of the Roman civil war. This is also why you do not leave a kingdom to an empire in your will. Way to go, Ptolemy, like the 13th of Egypt. Really smart thing to do in your will. Very dumb move, but yeah, a civil war inside of a broader civil war that spirals into nothing but urban chaos.
It's probably I don't know if it's necessarily the episode where I learned the most, but it's definitely the episode that I like mentally reference the most.
Mm-hmm.
in terms of just like thinking about the material or like, bringing it up in conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the one that I like to share with people too, just because I thought it was a really good episode, even though it was a bit longer. That's probably the closest we ever got to like the show Hardcore History, if you've ever seen that. That was probably the closest we got to them, though of course, that guy does like 4-hour, 5-hour episodes.
Yeah, we never did anything like that.
No, but
hour and a half was about our max.
We really delved deep into that topic, and that's something that if we had a bit more time to plan certain things, I think we could have done a bit more of, though I did like a lot of our bite-sized episodes too. Another one that we dove really deep into was Indonesia, which was a very hard episode to do.
Yeah, not one of our better.
I'm still proud of it.
It has a lot of potential, but not one of our better episodes.
No, I think it could have been a lot better, but I'm also still proud of it in the fact that we got it out and it was still like listenable and good. In fact, actually, I did meet a guy from Indonesia. No, not kidding. And I showed him that episode, and he thought it was actually pretty decent rundown of like a basic history of Indonesia. So that made me very proud because, someone who actually lives there and, that's their, cultural history. And they're like, you actually did a pretty decent job. And there's not much really about my, country in English. So I appreciate what you're trying to do, which is very, very kind of him.
Yeah.
So again, though I did pronounce Gaijamada wrong because I meant to say Gaihamada, which I thought was right because I'd heard that in multiple ways. And again, one way that I'd heard it was in the game that we always reference in this series was Sid Meier's Civilization 5. In the opening narration for when you play Indonesia, it's pronounced Gaiamada. And I'd heard that in other places too, so I thought, oh, well, of course, this is how it's pronounced. And sure enough, the guy says that, no, we say Gaijamada.
Oh,
is how they say it. It's with a J, like I originally pronounced it.
Gaijamada?
Gaijamada. It's not like an H because that would be more like you're saying something in Spanish. Like a J is pronounced like a H sound. It's apparently a J, how they say it. So it's Gaijamada. And again, for those of you who haven't seen the episode, Gaijamada was basically one of the great rulers of Indonesia. He was the prime minister. He wasn't like a monarch or anything like that, but he was their prime minister during a time of it was like the 1300s, I want to say, roughly, if I remember correctly now.
1200s or 1300s, I think.
Right around there. But he was one of their great leaders at the time, and he's not all that well known in the West, so we talked about him because he's kind of a big turning point in Indonesian history, a very big cultural icon there. And so apparently a lot of people in the West get that name wrong, so I wish I had just said it the way I originally thought it was because I had assumed that's what you would say, but no, I heard everyone else, and now I have it wrong, but I can correct it now, I guess. So
yeah, here's the correction.
Here's the very belated correction. So to my Indonesian acquaintance, sorry about that if you ever happen to see this. Yeah, in fact, he even said, I wasn't sure who you were talking about at first. I went, oh, yeah, right. Basically, one of our most important cultural figures. Like, oh, oops, my bad. So that was a fun one. We had some other good episodes, too. And we also had some short ones, too.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, Roman side stories. Everything about Rome we did was good. We should just do a Roman history podcast one day if we ever bring a new one out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we can't really compare to like history of Rome. Or
but we don't have to talk about the things that everyone talks about because again, one of the other episodes I'm actually very proud of was the defense of Domitian, talking about the Roman emperor, who was definitely an autocrat, but at the same time, he's an autocrat you can understand and you can also sympathize with in a lot of ways.
We just make a podcast about all of our Roman hot takes.
There we go. Domitian was good. I mean, that's really not that much of a hot take. It's really a hot take if you actually live in Rome at like 295 or whatever it was. 195 or no, 98 is when he died.
98,
I believe it was something like that.
295 is a little late.
Sorry. I'm getting confused.
That's like Constantine.
Sorry. It would have been funny to see Domitian there, though. If he just would have gone full autocracy, it's like, I hate everything. I will build the Limes Germanicus. But that was a good episode. It was fun to defend him because, well, I disagree with some things he did. It's kind of fun to play devil's advocate. But also, I can really...
I think a lot of people disagreed with some of the things he did.
Yeah, but I can also, empathize with a lot of his experience in life and also, what he was trying to do. And I also do not think, at the end of the day, he was a bad emperor. I think he was also pretty good.
No, I mean, bottom 10 emperors, he's... Not even close.
No, honestly, he could easily be top 20. And that would be start to get pretty competitive near the top too. And I could see an argument for him to be better than some of the people that, get really spouted about often.
I mean, honestly, I think some people do put them in their top 10.
Yeah. Domitian was a solid guy. He was a good dude. everyone's like, oh my gosh, Vespasian, he built the Colosseum. Yeah, well, everywhere Domitian went, that was Rome. So that's way cooler. He made Rome mobile because he hated working with all of the sycophantic senators. How amazing would that? Could you imagine if like a president did that now, where it's like everywhere I go is DC, and I hate all the senators. I mean, that's kind of what we're slowly devolving into at this point in the United States.
Don't drain the swamp, just move it.
Yeah, just do that. Oh boy. Well, we're not going to go into political takes here, but we tried to have a few.
That's our next podcast.
That's our next one where we hide in the bunker during whatever disaster hits this country next. Don't worry, we have a plan. Also, side note, I found this very funny. A lot of my friends, again, people who are listening to this episode right now, again, thank you all. A lot of you invited me to your schizophrenic apocalyptic defense bunker. I appreciate that. I'm not sure why everyone wants me in there. I've been invited to literally 3 bunkers. Like, oh, Aaron, if society collapses, I'm going to have a bunker you can come with. I don't know. One, it's weird that I don't have one because of all people, you would think it'd be me. But I'm not planning on getting a bunker anytime soon. And 2, everyone apparently wants me in their bunker, which I appreciate. But I'm not quite sure why. So if you guys could explain that to me later on, just want to throw that out there. And then... maybe we could do it. That would be a great episode one day. If we ever do more history podcasts, like failed predictions of the apocalypse or what people thought the apocalypse was going to look like at different periods in history. That'd be a really, really fun episode sometime.
Well, I'm starting to think all these assaults on comedians are like the seals being opened on the scroll. Like I'm just waiting for
Revelation.
Louis C.K. to be shot on stage.
Was he like the 6th or the 7th seal? Who do we get? Like this is like Ron White, like the final one. It's like as soon as they take out Ron White on stage, that's when like the trumpet blast comes. We're gonna get judged.
But they think they take him out, but he just keels over on his own accord.
He actually died 0.2 seconds before the bullet hit his heart because he finally died of like liver poisoning.
His liver just gave out.
God bless Ron White, by the way. Do not want him around as long as possible, but the man will admit he probably should have died a long time ago.
We will restart Side Stories if
Ron White is on the
podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
We will have a thoughtful discussion about the rule of Domitian with Ron White.
You know what? Why not? Let's do it. I'm sure he's got a favorite Roman emperor. Oh yeah, Marcus Aurelius was there.
Jack Daniels, that was an emperor,
Jack
right?
Daniels. He was my favorite president.
Vice President Johnny Walker.
That was his VP. Like a Speaker of the House, Jimmy Bean.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The Secretary of Commerce is Bud Weiser. Anyways, outside of alcohol, I'm surprised we never had an alcohol episode too. That's surprising.
I have had a couple in the works that I wanted to do. They just never quite came to fruition.
Maybe one day.
Never quite left the still.
I know. That was our tradition of episodes that never quite made it.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of a good episode on Christmas traditions. It's one of my recent favorites. Probably my favorite of like the more recent batch episodes we did. Weird Christmas traditions, I think, still our most viewed episode. Again, thank you all for spreading that one around. That one was so much to do. Just it was so much fun to do. I love learning so much about Iceland.
Yeah.
Iceland is such a wonderful, cute little place where they have the Yule cat who will eat you if you don't get new clothes on Christmas. And then Jóhabakaflaut, which is, again, my favorite Icelandic word. It means book flood.
I'm surprised you remember that.
Oh, I will never forget Jóhabakaflaut. Never. Also, what's the capital of Iceland?
Reykjavik.
Good job. See, we know our stuff here. We absolutely know a lot about Iceland. I had one king, and that's what I remember.
Yep.
That's about it. And it has fun traditions.
Originally settled by Irish monks.
Yep. Just like the entire world, actually. That's what they don't want you to know. That's the secret history right there. That's what they don't want you to know is the entire...
The Irish have been everywhere.
They are everywhere. They spread like rabbits. Those darn Irish. Love you, Ryan. He'll find that funny. He's very Irish. Anyways. Darian, what... Oh, that was some big lightning there. Jeez. You might hear some thunder coming in soon. Darian, what else do you got? Sorry, I've been just talking about my favorite episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the Christmas episode. Completely drawing a blank on all the episodes that we did.
You don't remember any of them at all. You want this to be gone as quickly as possible. You're like, oh, just end this. Just get it over with here.
I just sequentially repress every episode that we've done.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to get rid of it.
No, yeah. one episode that I did really enjoy doing, even though it had absolutely nothing to do with our like actual theme, was our Utah Adventures episode.
That was a very fun one.
That was our like Side Stories throwback episode, or sorry, Side Tracks throwback, which was it was an episode that was much more in step with the sort of stuff that we did on Side Tracks.
I honestly think
Stories.
it was like if Side Tracks had been better, is what that was, because it was more focused. Well,
what it was is we were like 6 months into Side Stories at the time.
Yeah.
So we
more like 2. No, sorry, like more. We started in March. This was in July, so it was like March, April, June, July. 4. Sorry, I have to count months. I'm apparently in 2nd grade. Anyways, go on.
So we just had like more experience, and we were more seasoned.
I can absolutely say the show definitely got better as it went on when we actually had time to record episodes. Like the episodes we had time to record, you can definitely tell they were really good when they came out. Fortunately, we were trying to
You can also
scramble.
tell the ones that we kind of threw together.
Hey, I can admit my podcast wasn't always perfect, but we always tried. And that's what's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could never quite get Keith Richards on the show, but I got Darian. That's pretty good.
I mean, we're basically the same.
Yeah, you're basically Keith Richards.
Yeah, call me Keith.
Don't tell me that, because I will, and then I will not stop. All right, there, Keith. Don't do it. You don't want me to start, Keith. Darian, just like history, where is this podcast going? This is our horrible. Oh, it was another good one talking about people who were vicious, sadistic murderers of Casey. That was a fun one. Those were all good.
That was a good one.
Again, Eugene Butler, a local serial killer from North Dakota. Great episode. You can tell this is the really self-indulgent episode, too, where we just toot our own horns for about 30 minutes. That's okay.
I really enjoyed Val Johnson as well.
Val Johnson, the UFO
incident.
case. Again, I still need to make like a trip out to see the car. That's what I want to see out in the county museum where it's at.
I don't know about you, but between that one and
Warren County, Minnesota, that's what it is, right?
Warren.
Okay, Warren.
I don't know if it's Warren County. It's
maybe the town of Warren.
The town of Warren.
Okay, look up Val Johnson UFO car and you'll find whatever county it is. I don't remember.
Adams County?
That might have been Adams County.
I think so.
Right next to the Adams family house.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think it's maybe a tie between Galois and Val Johnson for, at least me personally, for my like best researched episode. Like those were the 2 episodes that I was most proud of from like a research standpoint. Like those were the 2 that I felt I was most like educated on and prepared for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Val Johnson, you did very well on. That was a very.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. Again, just talking about what happened. I liked your theories that you brought up about like what could have possibly happened, like what actually hit that car on that fateful night. Might have been a meteorite and all that, and trying to talk about that. And there was a lot that you brought to the table, I think, on that episode that made it very engaging for both me as someone who knew a decent amount about it, and then also for new listeners who didn't know anything about it. I think that it was a very good way to bring people kind of from all levels of knowledge about the case into the episode. So you did really well.
Also, fun fact, that was one of only 2 episodes that we ever recorded at your house.
Yes.
The other one being this
This
episode.
one, yes. Here we are with the loud echo in my kitchen here.
Echo.
Gosh. This really is the incredibly self-absorbed episode. You know what? F it. We're going to own it. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. We're going to keep talking
keep
about
going.
it. We're 2 people who loved what we did, and we're going to talk about it. Dang it.
All right, here. So let's stop being self-indulgent for a second and be a little self-reflective. Least favorite episode.
Least favorite episode?
Or bottom 3.
Bottom 3. The bottom 3 episodes? Okay, I hate to say this one, but the history of calculus I felt was really dry.
Yep.
That was a real dry
That's
one.
in my bottom 3.
Let's see. I think
that was also not supposed to be a standalone episode.
No, and it ended up being one.
It's one of the 2 that I massively regret publishing.
Yeah, I think Who Wrote the First Journal wasn't a bad concept, but I had to do that one alone. It was only 12 minutes.
That was incredibly rushed.
Yeah, that was a rush job episode.
That was the story behind that episode was we had an episode planned,
and then we couldn't do it.
And then there was a blizzard, and neither of us were particularly prepared for it, so we didn't really mind the blizzard, but we still wanted to put something out, so Aaron cobbled together that and
threw it out
like an evening.
Yes, it was. Though it's funny because the episode before that is one I'm actually quite proud of, because it's the only one I did with Jacob, and it was the George Hackenschmidt episode. Where he talked about
getting fit with George
Hackenschmidt.
Hackenschmidt.
Getting fit, talking about the man who invented the bench press.
Yeah.
And we went into almost zero preparation, and we got a solid about 25-minute episode in. And Jacob was very good, very natural. I wish we could have had him on more episodes. Honestly, again, Side Stories itself is not going to continue, but I've been thinking about maybe starting up something else. So I guess maybe I'll make an announcement somewhere. I mean, if you know me or if you follow me anywhere on the Twitters, which is basically only through our podcast channel, which is no one, because I don't have a personal Twitter account. But maybe I'll put something else out, so I'll try to get that out. Maybe I'll do it with Jacob too, because he is very, very good at podcasting. And that was a great episode. I also loved our joke about how, they always say like couples are supposed to lift each other up. Well, literally do that, and that's how you know you're meant for each other. If you can literally lift one another, that always gets me. It's like, yeah, that's all I'm looking for in life is someone who can lift me up and I can lift them up. Literally, that's all I want. Also, that was right around where I started really hitting the gym, and now I'm all like buff and cute right now. So that's good. I was a scrawny nerd before Side Stories, scrawny nerd. After Side Stories, big stud muffin. That's me.
Yeah, y'all can't tell, but Aaron's been juicing for months now.
Shush! I have never juiced in my life. The only juice I've ever done is apple juice. I don't even drink orange juice. I don't even like that stuff. And if you count lemonade,
is good.
Apple juice is great. Apple juice is the nectar of the Lord. Okay, it's good. Don't you knock apple juice. I will beat you up.
I'm not going to. I like apple juice.
Don't you insult apple juice. Speaking of which, I think Jacob just came home. You know what? This is the episode where it's the last one anyway, so I don't really care if there's much interruptions or random noises in the background. I'm not editing this. This is going up as is. If Jacob did just come home, hi, Jacob.
Let's just do this live.
Let's just do it live. Let's
Jacob, get in here.
Hey, Jacob, hey, clap.
Guest starring.
Woo! Hey, say hi to the good crowd of everyone.
Tom Selleck has entered the
building. I can't believe it. Wow, it's Jacob. Here we are. Yes, this is the uncut. This is the unrated, uncut version of Side Stories.
Yeah, we're just throwing out fricks and fracks everywhere.
Yeah, we don't care at all, bud. This is dangerous. This is Danger Cast right here. We're talking about our favorite episodes of Side Stories. You were on one of them. I'm sure that was your favorite. What was your favorite episode then, Jacob? Here, let me try to get the mic near you so you can actually speak into it.
A Roman one. I can't remember which one.
Well, there was multiple
There
Roman
was a couple
episodes.
There's been a lot of them, I can guess. How many have there been?
Okay, let me count the actual number. Here, why don't you get over here so people
So
can hear
we
you.
had Caesar and Alexandria in Defense of Domitian, Latin naming conventions, if you want to include that one.
Roman Side Stories.
Roman Side Stories.
Byzantine Emperors.
Yes, Byzantine Emperors, so that's 5. Some more than that.
Pythagoras was Greek, so that's
yeah,
not
he doesn't really count.
I think that's all of them. Julius Caesar and Alexandria was the longest, and still probably
I think it was the Alexandria
yeah.
one. Yeah.
That was a good
one.
I
honestly didn't know you ever listened to that. This whole time. Okay.
You mentioned it to me, and you're like, we did a Side Stories on this. I'm like, oh, so they did. And then I listened to it.
Did you listen to the whole thing?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Well, anyways,
so that's a no.
That's a no, apparently. Great.
Because I thought I did, and then I see this right now that it's an hour 18 minutes. I'm like, I don't remember no hour 18 minutes. So either A, it really just went by and you guys are great,
or you listened to the first 5 minutes and gave up.
Yeah, apparently. I don't remember giving up on it is the thing. So it's like,
I honestly would bet that you probably just had it kind of playing in the background, and it just went that fast because one, you were probably doing. Yeah, you were doing something, and two, that episode it's probably our best flowing episode, honestly. Even though we were probably better just like talking in later episodes, that probably has our single best flow because we had a point by point by point. Mm-hmm. So that's probably why it flowed so well.
And it was really focused too. We had a story that we wanted to tell. And that was it. It wasn't Indonesia.
Yeah. Yeah. Indonesia we tried to cram the entire history of Indonesia into, let's see how long the episode was. 1 hour and 31 minutes. Like literally like what from like prehistory to like now. And like we got close. To be fair, we did decently, but man, we could not cover Sukarno in like 5 minutes.
So we tried to cover like, what would that be, like 2,500 years in like an hour and a half, whereas Caesar and Alexandria was an hour and 18 minutes, he said. Yeah. And that was a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole entire time, like of Caesar and Alexandria, is I think roughly a month he's there. And yeah, so like if we're doing 2,500 years, to say it correctly, because you say 2,500, it's going to confuse people. So 2,500 years.
Is it?
Whatever, I'm just going to say it. 2,500 years. Yeah. So, this is going to be the best and worst episode. This is what it should have been. We should have sat here talking about random history of Jacob as he walked in after work. That's what it should take. Taking crap. I think this concept now. Shoot.
No, what we should do is, our next podcast is going to be, we're going to go to Jacob's place of employment just randomly out of the blue.
With
we're going to ask him questions.
Just a backpack with all the recording equipment.
Yeah.
Just walk in. I have like a bucket, half bunch of microphones underneath it. Like no one knows. I sit there talking to you for 15 minutes. Like, do the podcast. Slowly sweating as I'm fearing your manager is going to notice me. That's a way better show than this.
Try not to get caught at Jacob's work. Coming next summer.
Work cast starring Aaron and Jacob. We're going to sneak it into my job. That wouldn't work. Don't tell them where I work. No one needs to know. Don't tell them. Anyways, don't give them their coats. Don't do it. Oh, gosh.
He works for the cartel.
No, I don't. Well, no. Don't.
A legal one.
Something like that. It's not the government, but it might as well be.
They work in import export.
Can you say Monopoly? My least favorite game.
Hey, Monopoly's a good game. That would have been a good one. The history of Monopoly, because that's a controversial one too. But wait, did we have one on like no, we didn't have one on board games, did
no.
we? That's what we thought about. I think I had partially written even. I didn't get to that one.
I think you're right, Nelly.
I also never got to the constantly pushed back French monarchies episode because
we were plugging that one for a long time.
Yes, and the thing is, I had a lot of it written up too because I was going to do the best episodes that never happened. Here's a good one. I did hit on the topic very briefly in the one about Joseph Bonaparte, which again is one of my favorite episodes because he's
that was a good
such
one
a fascinating guy.
Fun.
Joey Bottles, still the greatest name
Bottles.
in all of history. That's what they called him at the time.
I love that.
So you need to listen to the episode seriously. You would love Joseph Bonaparte. I'm surprised you haven't heard this one yet.
You've mentioned it. See, that's the problem. I get the Aaron edition of all of this with no Darian, and that's the problem. That's why I liked most about when I was listening to the Alexandria one. It's like, man, it's not just hearing Aaron go off about things. Darian's here too.
I actually have input as well.
Wow, it's almost like it's not just me talking into a mirror, which is how I sold this show to you, which is there's Darian too. You don't have to listen to me. But apparently you just forgot he was there.
Look, all I'm saying is that Aaron's edition of everything is normally engaging and interesting, and I haven't heard Darian's version of anything. So.
Yeah, they never talk, actually. This is the Steve... No. Gosh.
Well, the first time was very informal, so I consider this to be like meeting number one.
Yeah, you met him underneath the mountain at the secret cult meeting, right? Yeah,
but he was wearing the robes and the mask. I couldn't really tell it was him.
I didn't really know.
And we had the blood sacrifice going on, so I was a little preoccupied.
And by blood, you just mean Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fake. It's actually really...
It was just a Kool-Aid party.
If you've ever seen those really bad college occult clubs where it's just a bunch of really sad LARPers who have nothing better to do on a Friday, it's like that.
Yeah, it was, Heaven's Gate was fun. Go back.
That as the thunder starts rolling. I don't know if the mics can pick that up, but we just got a huge lightning flash and a bunch of thunder rolling as it starts talking about the cult, so I think we should maybe drop that topic.
or keep going.
But yeah, let's see. What was I going to say about Joseph Bonaparte again?
It was before that. Episodes that never happened. That's what
right. Yeah, episodes. So
French monarchy.
So is the French... So yes, so... Okay.
That to me.
Yes, I did. So my plan for this, it was going to be a 4-part series. The reason I brought up Joseph Bonaparte...
It was originally going to be a single episode.
Yes, but...
And we were about to record it.
But then so here... I will explain. So the reason I bring up Joseph Bonaparte is because it does relate to the topic a little bit. Because again, when Napoleon Bonaparte died, his brother Joseph became kind of like the de facto pretender to the French Empire, though he never did much to really advance the claim, especially after Napoleon II died. Again, yes, Napoleon had a legitimate heir. A lot of people glance over him for some reason. He's really one of the most fascinating what-ifs in all of human history. He was also a Habsburg, too, and that's the best part. Is we could have had that monster. And that's why everyone in Europe was utterly afraid that he was becoming like his father, and they were all relieved when he died at the age of 22. If he had made it 10 more years, the world you live in could have been incredibly different. Oh my gosh, it was like the disaster nightmare for all of Europe, and I wish I wish that it was as if God himself was like, sorry, kid, gotta nerf you. And like took him up early because my goodness. The things that guy could have done. Anyways, so Joseph Boyford was kind of the pretender. Well, I wanted to talk about basically, because we always talk about the French Revolution and we act as if that was the fall of the French monarchy. And it wasn't. It wasn't at all. Because again, you get Napoleon and then you get the fall of the Bourbons. Then the Orleanists come in, and then you get the Bonapartes again with Napoleon III. And so my thing was I wanted to talk a little bit about how the Bourbons originally fell during the French Revolution, like Napoleon and all that, and how he collapsed. But then I really wanted to talk about the next three phases where each royal house would collapse in its own way and why. So I want to talk about the Bourbon Restoration, why it failed, and that's because Charles X was the dumbest man to ever live. And actually I was going to argue that he's the main reason why monarchism in France died off. It's like they had ones after him, but he was like really the turning point in the whole thing because he was such an idiot. Also, side thing about Aaron's life, one of the most pathetic debates I've ever had ever. And by that I mean I utterly railed this guy. Just completely, and I hate to say that, was a guy trying to defend Charles X as not only a good person, but a good leader. Remember, Charles X was the guy, I never got a chance to talk about him, but he was such a moron. He was the guy who was not just a reactionary, but like trying to be like a medieval, not even a medieval ruler. Actually, medieval people would have thought he was an idiot. He was like think about Louis XIV at his complete and most pompous, with all of the weak-kneedness of Louis XVI, and then throw in, like, he thinks that the royal touch, which is this old French tradition, which I think only didn't even really actually start in the Middle Ages, from what I understand. It's basically like that the French monarch can heal you, kind of as if Christ was touching you.
Is that like the cheese touch?
Basically like that, but worse. And he tried to bring that back post-Napoleon and act like people were going to believe that, which they didn't. And then he also... he was such a bad leader. He wanted to basically get rid of any sort of constitutional compromise in France, be an absolutist, which also failed the first time in France, by the way. And also is not a medieval concept. It's all these like pseudo-medievalists who are people who think medieval society was one day, but they're really just like weirdos from the 1600s, which is not the medieval period, who are these like defenders of like these weird monarchs who are all bad. Which also, by the way, if you ever research European royal houses, if you look at like the last rulers, most of them weren't tragic heroes desperately trying to save a good system. Most of them just kind of sucked, and that's why they don't have them anymore, which is unfortunate in some ways and good in other ways, but blah, blah, blah.
That's how most
government systems fall.
Most governments fall, yeah.
There were a few, like Charles in Austria, I always go on, the last emperor of Austria during World War I always say was a man who got completely screwed, who deserved a lot better. But most European rulers were not like him.
No.
Not at all. They were just complete idiots, typically, by the end, which is, again, sad to see such systems die when you have such great traditions built up. But also, you can understand why people got tired of living underneath them. So it's kind of half and half of me.
Or you can be a Benelux nation, just kind of vibe.
Yeah, you could be like Belgium, where they're like, we can't form a government. Can our king just go back to, like, doing things? Because he has, like, a master's in political science and is also a commando, where he's, like, literally the most qualified man to rule the country is the king of Belgium. And they couldn't form a government for like a year, which just sounds like paradise, where you have a king who doesn't have to do a whole lot and no government. Honestly, sounds pretty sick. I don't know why they were so obsessed forming a government. Seems like they had it made. They had like, does it count as a narco-monarchism? Is Belgium actually an example of that being successful? It lasted like a year.
I mean, I would say yes on that count, but that, it's just so loose at that point. I mean, because you have the same thing you've got like the Luxembourgish monarchs. You've got the same thing with like the Netherlands house, which they don't. It's not even constitutional there anymore, is it?
No, it's constitutional.
Oh,
I believe.
Really?
I believe it's a constitutional monarchy.
Man, they are the quietest and most hidden constitutional monarchs I have ever seen. I think I know more about like the current French pretender than that family.
Well, all the French pretenders are at least interesting. I'll give them that, because they still have the three. I was going to talk about that too, getting back to the actual topic I was talking about, the pretenders to the throne and all the things that happened. Because all right, so I'll get back to Charles X real quick. The man was an idiot. They had a parliament in France, right? Or Senate, or whatever it was called at the time, because I don't remember all the stupid French things that the French people did after Napoleon, which was the last time France was ever actually all that good, except for Napoleon III, who was okay. Anyways. De Gaulle was a good guy leading a crap nation, all right? Cope and seethe, France. Anyways, I'm French and I say that.
Vichy France?
Well, okay, look, hey, as funny as the meme Pétain gang is, let's not go there. It was funny. But anyways.
I'm so glad America started the war in Europe by attacking them.
Yeah. We gotta stop them.
You think they can switch sides? No, they can't.
I'll show them. But anyways, Charles X, they had like the parliament, right? Both parties were monarchist parties, and it collapsed under his stupidity. That's how that man lost power. That's why they got with July monarchy, which is the Orleanists, and then that collapsed too because Louis Philippe was either too liberal or not liberal enough, depending on who you ask. And then there's the period of the French republics, and then Napoleon III, Chad that he was, coups himself to become emperor, and probably has a fraudulent vote to vote himself into power. They literally had a referendum of, do you want to become an empire? And it was like 80 to like 20% yes, no. And it's like, he might have cheated. I don't know. Probably still more legitimate than most elections now. Hot take. Anyways, probably would have won. He just stuffed it to make sure. Just making sure.
The will of the people. But just in case.
Just in case. Let's put some extra will in there.
Stuff it full there. But so that happens, and then he becomes emperor, and then the Germans happened, which is basically the entire history of France. Is things were going well until the Germans showed up.
Yep. All the way back.
All the way back.
Longer than you might think.
Pretty much ruined everything, as usual. Meanwhile, in France...
Speaking of the Roman Empire...
we don't talk about it, okay? I cry every time. It's always losers from the East showing up to ruin your empire. It's always what it is. Or winners if you're Spanish. Anyways, God bless them. But anyways, then what I was going to talk about next after I talk about why Napoleon III fell is the ridiculous thing that happened with the Third French Republic, which I swear no one talks about. It's the funniest thing ever. So the Third French Republic was actually supposed to be an interim government, right?
Oh, yeah, and it lasted for how long? It lasted till World War II.
Yes, I believe, or at least yes, World War II, World War One. Yeah, and I believe it made it through World War One. Yes, because
2 is where it fell apart.
Yes, 2 is where it falls apart. Then you get Vichy France, occupied France, I guess Free France, and then you get the Fourth French Republic, which was so terrible it voted itself out of existence, and they had to call de Gaulle to please fix this country because someone here needs to know what he's doing. And then a bunch of students who had literally no excuse whatsoever, I don't know enough about French history, got uppity and he had to retire. That's my reading on French history. I don't know anything about France past the 1950s, by the way. So if I'm wrong, cope. And this is the last episode. This is the you can't cancel me. This is the last episode. I am. Anyways, but yes. So the thing that happened with the Third French Republic, right? This just becomes Aaron Schizophrenic describes history really fast to all of you as you sit and watch, which is pretty much the whole series. So we're doing this the right way. This is a self-indulgent. Yeah. I'm doing the episode really fast. This is the fast version of the French monarchy. We're finally getting to it. Anyways,
I love that because you started with the beginning of the end of the monarchy instead of going back to the beginning of the beginning of the beginning.
No, we're doing this the right way, Jacob. Learn history. I have the degree here. Anyways.
Me too, you dumbass.
Shush. Anyways.
We'll share custody of it on the weekends, all right?
We'll share custody of Darian. Basically our podcast baby here. Anyways, so.
I don't want to live with mom or dad.
Shut up. You're living in France. No.
I want to live by myself.
This should have been every episode of this show. This is easily the best one we ever did. This is what this just should have been.
Yeah, but you want to take it seriously.
Oh, yeah. Clearly that's where I went wrong. Any whoosies. So, France, why it's not a monarchy anymore. Okay, the Bonaparte's fall. They have no legit candidate they can post up as, like, taking the throne. So, it's between the Orleanists and the Bourbons. And, of course, the Bourbons, in their infinite stupidity of somehow being completely morons after Louis XIV somehow. That was, like, their track record. Outside of Louis XVIII, who was not a moron. Actually a solid leader. I can't believe it. Actually, I was going to talk about why he was a good king too. But anyways, there is the Bourbons and the Orleanists. They are trying to form a compromise on how they're going to become rulers because basically people in France, for a very rough estimation, view them as equally legitimate, right? Because again, the Orleanists are a cadet branch of the Bourbons, right? So here it is. The Bourbons have the most senior claim, so they should get the throne, right? But the Bourbon guy is one hyper-traditionalist in the sense that he's like reactionary just like Charles X. I believe he's Charles X's son, which explains a lot. Yeah. And so he has no kids because he's not try enough to have babies. because he flubbed that one because he's an idiot. And there is then the Orleanists, who are known for being a bit more liberal for the 1800s. Liberal in the actual term of what liberal means, not liberal in the modern day. You go on Twitter and whine at people. It's the last episode. You can't cancel me. Anyways.
Caleb.
Shut up. Anyways, you can't. Yeah, really draw the line here. Anyways, so they think, okay, what we're going to do is the Bourbon will become the king. The Orleanist guys become the heir, right? And the Bourbon guy's super old. He's going to die. And that's what we'll get the, Orleanist guy in. And that's a solid compromise, right? We basically have a fusion ticket for a monarchy. Yep. Not a bad move, right? Mm-hmm. So they mess it up. And you want to know how they mess it up? I know exactly. Okay, so first off, the Bourbon guy, this is actually what happened. So they still have the tricolor as their flag, right, in France, and they see it as a symbol of the revolution. The Bourbon guy will not take the throne unless they change the flag back to the old Bourbon standard, right?
Uh-huh.
And so the French are like, no, that's dumb. Your flag sucks. Quit ruining the microphone, Darian. And just take the throne already. That's your job. Do it. And he won't. He even keeps proposing a compromise flag where it's the tricolor with the fleur-de-lis, which actually, I can't remember if he proposed that or if the Senate proposed that, and he said no.
He's like, not good enough.
They were going to put his family crest on the national flag, and he said no. This went...
You moron.
Yes, this went on for years.
I think
it officially died after months.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the claim was still around, and remember, the Third Republic is supposed to be an interim government until they can hand over to the monarchy, right? And then they can have basic constitutional monarchy, which I believe even the would-be kings willing to sign off on. But the stupid flag keeps getting in the way. This leads to the point where the 10 years pass. The Bourbon dies in the 1880s, so now the Orleanists can finally take the throne. But by that time, the monarchist sentiment is everyone's so fed up with this, they just say, don't give it to him. And they never get the throne back, and that's why there's no monarchy in France. Had the guy just taken it, it very well could still be a constitutional monarchy to this day. He gave up the throne for a flag, and my favorite quote about this is the Pope at the time. I forget which one. I think it's either Pius or John. I can't remember the name of it. I apologize.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Whatever. Shush.
Only the two most common papal names.
Anyways, whatever, nerds. I can't help it. That's what they're going with at the end of the 1800s. Shush you. Anyways, the Pope's quote is, "And all of that for a napkin," referring to the flag. He's like, that's what he said about, like, even he was like, that man was the dumbest person in all of European politics.
I mean, look, hot take here. Tricolors are overrated and disgusting.
I think that's fair, but you don't have to lose a country. You're the king. You can change it later, you idiots. What are they going to do to stop you?
I'm not defending French stupidity. Far from it. I am saying that they have embraced it so fully that they are arguing over the semantics of what is worse.
See, if I were in his position, here's what I would do. Become king, dissolve parliament, and then change the flag. Who's going to stop me?
I'd also like to point out the fact that the Brits have been doing this for effing years, where they just fly the king's flag right underneath it. Like, when he's in residence, they put it on top.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Just put them both.
But no, it needs to be mine because I'm old and French and stubborn, and I will lose a country for a flag.
Like, do what your ancestor did. Just say, I am the state. My flag is the state's flag. It is my crest. This is it.
Put your face on the flag.
It honestly is one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen in politics. Like, it's losing. It is snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Like, you are ready to go. You are about to have it.
I see it as standing by what you believe in.
You know what? If you
regardless of the cost.
You know what, Darian? If you want to be dumb and French, I won't stop you. I'm only French. You can be the
I'm
dumb.
not French.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you're Welsh.
Yeah.
That's worse. We don't talk about your monarchy. Oh, yeah, where's your monarchy? Oh, yeah, nowhere. At least the English have one.
My monarchy is very successful and has been for 1,000 years.
Yeah, whatever. You're the English one. Yeah, speak the language of your ancestors, English.
I am.
Yeah. Everyone always harps on about, Scotland should be free. It's like, Wales will never be free, and that's all I care about.
Speaking of Scotland, I learned a fun fact about the Scottish Parliament the other day. Yeah.
That it sucks?
Well, no.
Its parliament building is the ugliest on the
It's-
planet, by the way.
But I think my fun fact is actually pretty based.
Oh, let's hear it.
So, Scotland and Ireland, right?
Yes.
Or not Scotland and Ireland. Scotland.
I was with you and then I lost you.
Scotland and England.
Yes.
They have a little bit of beef historically,
Really?
right?
Just a little.
just a little. So, there was a back and forth for a while. Eventually,
Yep.
England kind of won over, and kind of
We did an episode about why that happened, too,
Yeah.
on Scotland with their failed empire.
And
Good episode.
So they've kind of been going along with things for a while, but for like 200 years, 300 years almost, Scotland wasn't allowed to have its own parliament because it wasn't independent, quote unquote.
It's still not.
Uppity.
Right, but
Ooh, a regional parliament. I'm so terrified.
I would be terrified. It's full of Scotsmen.
Well, that used to be scary.
but
now
it's
it's
full
just
of
sad.
true Scotsmen.
No, definitely not.
But so in 1999, England finally allowed Scotland to have its own parliament.
In what year?
1999,
It was 90.
and the reason I was
You're
on.
older than you are older, Aaron. Than
I am more legitimate than the Scottish Parliament.
But so
Boy.
the very first words spoken in the Scottish Parliament were, "I want to start with the words that I have always wanted to either to say or to hear someone else say. The Scottish Parliament, which adjourned on March 25th, 1707, is hereby reconvened."
That's pretty cool. I like that. What were the next words said?
I don't know.
This sucks. Let's end it. Let's go for lunch.
No, but it was as if it never didn't exist for like 300 years.
It was on saboutical.
It was on
We were
sabbatical.
hiatus.
Yeah.
so they were coping since 1999. Is one.
Yeah.
Basically, they've been on the Cope Parliament. Boy, I can't wait till the day when all like the older historians are like out of our way. We can write our own history of our own version of like. No, here's my interpretation of why Scotland sucks. That's what all history will be when Zoomers like us finally rise up and become like 40 years old and write history books and we have nothing better to do because that's what academics do. God bless them all.
Yeah, pretty much.
I shall be the Herodotus of the modern day. I will take vacations. I guess that's what Lord Miles Rutledge basically is the modern day Herodotus.
Yeah, but he likes to he chronicles it in a modern sense. He doesn't write down much. I love the guy, but I think he may be part caveman. I don't think he could really write. He knows how to type. I don't think he could actually like write anything out.
Can't break the old pen and ink out and start going with his quill pen.
He has to be nerfed somehow. There's no way that he can be this well-rounded. He must lack some basic skill that most humans have. It's the only way to explain most of this.
Common sense, because he always goes to war zones. You know who that is, right? You know Lord
Yeah,
Miles?
oh,
Okay,
yeah,
make it
yeah.
sure. But yes, if you all don't know about the legend of Lord Miles Rutledge, look him up. He's a true British adventurer at a time when that is no longer existent at all. He is perhaps the last man standing in a time-honored tradition of going around to parts of the world and seeing why they suck. And then doing things there, whether good or bad. Mostly good, at least in this case.
It gives you perspective on why the British did do so well in the big wide world, why the British Empire was a thing. Because if there were a lot more people like him that, yeah, you know what? I think they could actually do something for themselves.
If the Raj had 10 Lord Miles Rutledges, it would still be around.
Yes, or if the UK hadn't voted out Churchill.
He will go on all day about why that completely ruined the British Empire, which it did, by the way.
Yeah.
He knows a lot. See, I can't believe I never did a Churchill episode of Jacob. That would have been easy to get him on. Let's talk about Churchill.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, because you seem to have a relative limit on time, and I would transcend that.
This podcast is almost at an hour. There is no limit on time.
I could go on for probably 10 hours. I mean,
Hardcore history of
10
Winston
hours.
Churchill. Please tell me you have his autobiography in that bag of yours right now. Oh my gosh, no.
Really?
I was doing some light reading at work.
I am so happy I got that. This is my actual real
Nice.
reaction. Here, real quick. This is here. Let's plug this book. I think old Winston could use a little more fame here. Winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature, Winston S. Churchill, Memoirs of the Second World War, an abridgment of the 6 volumes of the Second World War. This is a bridge.
It is?
This
How many
is
pages is that?
almost the Bible.
1,000.
It's only 1,000. Plugging books.
Yeah. It's a really good read. I can tell you right now that in my list of things I'm going to be getting is like the full box set of 6 books, because just this isn't enough. I need more.
You need all of that Winston love. Churchill's a fascinating guy. You know what another episode I never got to do? This will be one of the last ones I mentioned. The life and times of Peter Kemp, my favorite wartime journalist. Yeah, who, Darren, I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I've been reading a book called Minor of Trouble.
Yeah,
okay.
You told me about
All
that.
right, so for those of you who do not see me every single day of my life, because you are the people who probably have not heard about this, there is a great book on the Spanish Civil War by a man, again, British adventurer Peter Kemp. Again, they used to produce... He was earlier Lord Miles. He just happened to shoot a lot more people because he was also a soldier.
Miles probably would if he'd had the chance. We're a little out of the soldier of fortune era.
Well, he wasn't a soldier. He was definitely an ideological soldier is the funny thing. He didn't get rich. He did. I think his book sold decently. But anyways.
His book sold decently.
But like not great because they're out of print for like 30, 40 years up until recently. So get them while you can. But they are... His books are Minor of Trouble, which is about the Spanish Civil War, No Colors or Crest, which is about the European theater in World War II, and then Alms for Oblivion, which is the end of the trilogy, which is the Pacific War and the twilight months of the war. And so he was a man he was British and being not a communist and seeing that, there was a huge civil war brewing in Spain in 1936, I believe is the year it starts. He is like, hey, what those nationalists need some help. So he decides to go and join up with the rebel faction. And he is one of only 12 Englishmen that fought for Franco rather than against Franco. And he writes about his chronicles and journey. It'd actually be a really good companion piece to if you're going to was it For Whom the Bell Tolls by Orwell? If you want to read the not boring version of For Whom the Bell Tolls, read Minor of Trouble because it's way better. Anyways, because one, they win, and two, the people he meets are like, everyone in Spain apparently has the world's biggest personality ever and is just nuts, and it's really fun to read because the things that you read about, like, he will talk about actual battles and strategy and what they're doing and the bigger, broader, like, global context, and then he will also have, like, little anecdotes about what these soldiers and people were doing at the time. And it puts you there so well because, again, the guy was at least posing as a journalist. I don't know if he actually had anything published prior to that, but that was his cover to get into the war. So he goes there. He joins up with what would have been the Carlists, which is the Roquettes, which are the traditional monarchists. And he joins the Spanish Legion because they take volunteers. So he's part of like the special forces for fighting for Francisco Franco. And he's an Englishman. And it's just this fascinating book. And I cannot wait to get to the other two because if they're just like that, they're going to be equally as fun because I can't wait to hear about wherever he was in Europe as he's doing like commando raids. Like one of their wacky characters he meets because it's just, oh man, it's really fascinating stuff. I'd highly recommend that book. He gets into a lot of shenanigans. He actually does meet Franco in person too, and they have a conversation for like half an hour that he describes. He has some really cool moments in that book that are really good and very rich history that has been lost for a long time now, but now it's finally available because it's an English account of the nationalist side of the war, and that's super, super rare and very valuable as a source. So highly recommend that one. Also, I found a hilarious Peter Kemp story that I will tell because I always wanted to share it, and I guess this is the last episode, so why not? So he is, again, the man is in like his 70s or 80s in like 1980 because he's probably a little bit younger because he's, I think, roughly around the age of 20, I think right around 20 even in 1936. So let's see, 46. So if you add all that, what he'd be, however old in 1980, I think 5 is when the story takes place. So he's in, of course, because he's still doing this long after he should be. He's in Nicaragua in 1985, which do you people, you two, right here in the room with me, know what was happening in Nicaragua in that year? You've heard of the Iran-Contra affair? Yeah. So there's the Sandinistas, who are the communists, and then there's the Contras, who the U.S. is backing, and so the Soviets are backing one side. So it's just like, again, it's just like he's in the Spanish Civil War again, where except no one backs the nationalists except for Mussolini and Hitler, but that was for different reasons other than ideology, actually, it turns out. It goes very deep. They also didn't help the nationalists until the Republicans did, too, because they wanted it to be a completely internal affair. And then the Republicans invited people to join their club, so the nationalists like, fine, get over here, Mussolini. I guess we'll deal with you. Also, the Spanish apparently did not like the Italians very much. They tried a thing called mixed brigades, and they did not work at all. Also, the Irish tried to get involved and fight for the nationalists. What a meme. Anyways, but yes, so Peter Kemp, he's in there. 1985, Sandinistas versus the Contras. And so Peter Kemp is with this younger guy. I think he's in his 30s. He's like a journalist. Again, I don't know why Kemp decides to go there. I guess he just goes anywhere that communists and other people are shooting each other because it's fun to him or something. He also dies in the 1990s at the age of like 80-something, by the way. He's like an old British gent by now. And he's there. And so they're going around this one, I think it's like a smaller town in Nicaragua. And of course, the Nicaraguans see, two, I believe, an English and an American man. They're like, oh my gosh, a bunch of gringos. And that's what they literally call them too, by the way. And they're like, oh, get out of here. You must be backing the Americans. Oh, how dare you? They're starting to, there's a mob forming. And they're about to be ripped to pieces. And so Kemp is like, by Joe, I don't know what I'm going to do. It seems they're going to kill me. And he's probably got a good humor about it because that's what he pretty much does with everything in the book. He's not quite super British, but he's got that British stoicism about him for sure. And then the American guy, clearly not wanting to die, desperately trying to figure a way out of the situation, goes up to all these Sandinista sympathizers, and he goes, I cannot believe that you were doing this to a veteran of the Spanish Civil War. And then they all hang their heads in shame, and they all disperse because, he fought for the communists, not knowing he was one of 12 Englishmen that fought for Franco, and they just leave that conveniently out.
Yeah.
So they let them pass through the village with no problem whatsoever, because that was their saving play. And, yeah, of course
it worked.
It worked. Who would assume that he was one of the very tiny, tiny amount of people that volunteered for the nationalist side and fought against the communists? Who knew? It was really funny. So there you go. There's my Peter Kemp story. Glad I finally got to mention him on the podcast. I also never got around to the Emperor Meiji episode. Oh, well. Darian, did you have any ones you didn't get to yet?
Yeah, I'd been wanting to do the history of gin for a while.
Yep. The drink.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
we talking insert waving hand motions here.
The genies.
No, the history of the spirit, no, or the liquor.
Yeah, really not narrowing it down there.
We haven't had that spirit here since 1969.
I didn't get to talk about the London gin craze.
The London gin.
Speaking of another bad King Charles.
Gosh dang it. Don't name your kids Charles. That's why Prince Charles will never be king, because they're going to skip over him and give it to William. I'm a William booster myself, by the way. I only truly recognize the House of Stuart as the true British monarchy, by the way. I'm a proud Jacobite. But at the same time, if it's going to be any of them, it's going to be William. Harry sucks, don't care, last episode. And then Charles, don't care for him either, though he's funny. It'd be funny, but I don't want him. He's old and crusty, and I want William. Gosh dang it. Okay? I'm going to play that card.
You sound like a teenage girl right now.
Well, whatever. Anyways.
Well, I'm going to support Prince Andrew then.
Oh, yeah, that's real popular. Oh, hey, Soren's in here now. He was never on the podcast before. Soren, do you want to say anything for the podcast for posterity's sake? He's currently shuffling through the fridge. This is really the worst episode we've ever done.
Live from Aaron's kitchen.
Basically.
It's Saturday night.
Yeah.
Quick, start quoting Norm Macdonald. It's the only funny thing ever on that show.
Get her done.
Well, close enough. We take it. We take it.
That national treasure.
Reminds me of that tragedy.
Wait, any other episodes, Darian, that you...
I had a few ideas. I can't remember any of them.
That has been this entire podcast, not just this one, but all of them. It's like, Darian, do you have anything to add? I forgot.
I thought about writing them down.
And then I didn't.
I forgot.
I considered writing notes. I forgot to.
No, I chose not to write notes. That was a conscious choice.
Aaron, I forgot to research the episode. What are we talking about again? Oh, here, I'll cover it.
That was basically... Jacob
just
saw Jacob starting to take his pants off.
He has sweatpants underneath his work pants, so I was confused too. I honestly thought you had rip-off pants like Terry went, like you were just gonna have another pair underneath them. Okay, sorry.
That was funny.
That's the first unpantsing we've had on the podcast. That's exciting.
Joke's on you, I've never done an episode with pants.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, he always does his episodes Beowulf stuff.
Yeah.
Darian records podcasts like Beowulf fights. If you
fully
catch that
naked.
one, yes. If you catch, yeah. Thanks for spelling that one out to everyone.
With body paint.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a clever cultural reference, and now here you are just explaining it to the rubes.
This is a history podcast. I have to
This is a chaos nonsense podcast where we try to vaguely talk about history.
We've been talking about history.
Drunk history is more coherent than this, and that show's terrible.
Well, I mean that too.
The best part about Drunk History is when they had Weird Al play Hitler. Okay, I said it. Easily the best episode. All right, that's my hot take. All right, you got any more to drop? Here, that's a good way to end it. That's the best way to end Side Stories. What are your historical hot takes? Think of a few. I'll give you a few moments. I'll do the Jeopardy thing. Do.
Sorry, I'm putting on fingers which ones I I'm putting on my fingers which ones I can't say.
Which ones? Again, last episode, you might be able to push the envelope a little bit. Some of them might get us bombed. Okay.
The Earth is 6,000 years old.
Okay.
Prove me wrong.
You know, I'm not even...
I can't count that high.
I don't care, is the thing. That involves literally nothing about any of my predetermined beliefs in anything at all. Predetermined,
Predetermined
I don't know. I don't know what I meant by that.
Pre-formulated beliefs that I'm having fed to me.
Look, they come from the Lord himself.
I believe in... what was that? Yeah, hand me that. I believe...
It's like a Joe Biden presser. It's the last episode. I don't care.
Easter Bunny coming up staring.
Yeah, that was a great historical moment. Here, that's a hot take. The Easter Bunny leading Joe Biden will be one of America's defining moments 20 years from now. There you go, kids.
I hope so. If it isn't, we have some impressive things to come.
We all know it was Trump in the bunny costume, by the way. Anyways, Darian, you got more?
Wait a minute. I have a note about Darian's list. So you're saying that the dinosaurs were just like, just to meme on everyone. God just said, they're going to need help figuring this one out. He just threw the fossils?
Not God, Satan.
Oh.
You have problems.
Satan's playing tricks on us. He's trying to deceive us.
Oh, it's like the devil put dinosaur bones here.
Yeah, to test us.
Was that the name of like the crappy Alice in Chains album too?
Probably.
The devil made dinosaur bones or whatever.
Okay, I was about to say, like, what is that going to be called? Like, yeah, Satan put the dinosaurs in the ground? Oh.
That's basically what it's called. It's got a triceratops skull on it, and it's like the devil put dinosaur bones here. It's like, that one sucks. Don't listen to that one. Listen to literally any other one.
Which is really sad, because that's, with a name like that, how can you go wrong? But apparently they did.
No, it was like 2014, like cringy, like I'm a YouTube Redditor atheist. It's like, that sucks.
I'm going to be honest, once you said 2014, I knew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as soon as I said 2014, I was like, no, never mind. Look, we had to say it, okay? All right, okay, well, that's my hot take. That one was bad. Okay, there you go. There's an album review for you.
All right, fair enough. Hold on, let me actually try and get one that I can say.
Should I pause this so we can have a time to think, or do you want to keep doing it like this?
No,
just try to fill air.
Just keep going.
We're at okay. You know what?
Let's have dead air for like 5 minutes.
Do we want to like? Do we want to like push any topics off? Cause like.
Last podcast, don't care.
You know what? I can think of a few national tragedies you shouldn't mention, but otherwise, perhaps even international tragedies if you catch my drift.
You know,
No, loud and clear.
There's a certain state that is next to Egypt and Jordan I would like people to not mention right now if you catch my drift. I'm not going to say which of the... Actually, there are no states next to it. It's a no-state solution.
No state solution. Yeah, for this particular thing, that's a good way to say it.
I feel like this episode is let's connect the dots on Aaron's political beliefs.
If you pay attention, it's blatantly obvious, but if you don't, you'll have no clue.
There's already a silhouette there. We're just really like putting the light, shining it on there. Yeah.
Skip like the Band Down the Run album cover Scott in it. Another thing we talked about on the podcast with our Christopher Lee episode. God rest his soul.
So you're saying I shouldn't mention certain Italians?
Mario and Luigi are off the table. I'm
Depends on which Italians. Probably not Papa John.
Papa John's my favorite Italian. Papa Giuseppe.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the hint. Benny Boy's out. What about the E-Man?
No.
I figured as much, but
unless you have a really funny one. I don't know if I want to talk about the E-Man.
I mean, him getting crippled because he was a moron is my favorite.
That was the funniest thing that Evola ever did. That's who we're talking about. That was pretty funny. He was the schizophrenic philosopher who, in World War II, wanted to contemplate his destiny during bombing raids. So he walked outside, and then his destiny was apparently end up in a wheelchair because he got crippled by bomb fragments hitting him. So yeah.
You get what you deserve.
Plays stupid games.
Win stupid. I guess he didn't see that one coming. I believe he was also like a object of like curiosity because people would watch him walking during the bombing raids from like their bunkers and shelters. They would kind of like peek their head out like, I see Julius is on his road. Oh, there he go. Oh, he got hit. Like, no Italians ever sounded like that, by the way. But...
that was in Austria.
Oh, never mind. I did. Oh no, Julius, no! Whatever shall we do? I don't know. Evola's Volkswagen. It's the last episode. We don't care. This is easily the best episode. I said it's the worst. No, this is the best. This is really
This is
fun.
the best, yeah.
This is a good one. Boy, howdy, we're going on about with a bang, like Evola's legs. Okay, now actually, historical hot takes. I'm ready, folks.
We're gonna need a minute, but pretty much any other German state would have been better to unite Germany than Prussia.
Yes, Bavaria should have done it. Austria should have done it.
Free Hanover.
Hanover should have. Well, yeah, it would have been better.
Hanover would have still been better somehow. I would wager that the British monarchs would be significantly less German if that had happened.
You're not even wrong.
No, because they'd be forced to turn Jacobite.
Gosh dang it! Shoot.
Here's one. The British Empire wasn't big enough.
That's a good one. Says the Welshman. If I can't have,
It was maybe a little too big in spots.
you could carve that one out a little bit.
He just got the early adopter bonus.
Yeah.
You get the discount empire.
We were the OG British colony.
Yeah, they were. They deserved it too. Oh, that's a hot one. They're better off together.
The Welsh are more British than the British.
They are in their own stupid way. Pip pip toodly doo.
I mean, they've been on the island longer than the British have.
And yet no one cares.
Yeah.
Because it turns out being on that dung heap doesn't matter at all. Why do you think the Romans conquered that last? I guess they
Because
never.
it was furthest away.
Yeah, no, because they
hardest
didn't.
to get to.
You shush. That was Ireland, which they never even bothered with, because Ireland turns out it wasn't always will be worthless.
They had a couple other things going on that were kind of higher up.
Yeah,
in
like
their
dying
list.
to the Germans because Arminius was a jerk.
Well, yeah.
Gosh dang
They
it.
could have done it if they, had the time and the resources.
Germans ruin everything.
I really don't think that they would have said like, "Oh yes, those Irish, we got to start their their submission early."
Yeah.
They're getting uppity over there.
They don't know that the British are going to do horrible things to them for the next millennia. So
They also weren't totally sure that Ireland existed
They did go there a few times, though.
a few times.
they just thought that there was like kind of a fever dream kind of trip. Like did that really happen?
They tried to forget about it, is what we're saying.
I mean, yeah, it's Ireland.
Yeah, you don't want to remember it. No offense to the Emerald Isle. Now Ryan's mad. He was happy earlier. Now he's mad at me. I don't care. Dung heap.
I mean, it's as simple as this. Like, if you're in a part of the world that the Romans never got to, either it's great because, it's America, or it's anywhere else, and it's, they didn't conquer for a reason.
I think that's the real hot take. It's great because it's Yeah. The Romans secretly got to Canada, and that's why it sucks.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Fault his logic. I can't. That's it. That's it. I got nothing. Do you got anything, Darian? Any
Should
hot
we
takes?
end it there?
No, I feel like we got a little bit. We got 3 more minutes at least in us. The Iranian Revolution was a mistake. That's not even a hot take. That's like ice cold.
That's pretty average, honestly. I mean, this shouldn't be a hot take, but Afghanistan really needed that monarchy.
It did. Again, this is what I've always been saying. Yeah, here's my modern day history hot take is that when America went to Afghanistan, it had been a monarchy, and then I believe the Russians, a Russian-backed coup led by, I believe, the king's brother made it into a socialist republic, which it wasn't. But, and then the Russians came in because the Mujahideen decided that was kind of cringy, which it was, to be fair, which I'm not defending the Mujahideen, but, it was pretty not great. And then America backed the Mujahideen. That's part of how we got 9/11. But anyways, reminds me of that tragedy. But
Let's take it a step back there. Let's rewind it to like, it wasn't like, these Mujahideen just really didn't like it. It's the CIA-backed Mujahideen didn't like it. And then things got, the Russians came in. Then the actual, U.S. got involved. The CIA always is kind of the vanguard. Not to say the U.S. should follow, but they force us to follow.
Yes, they do. Anyways, so back when the U.S. actually invaded properly, because we thought that was a smart idea. Kabul. Dumb Kirk. Anyways, worse than the fall of Saigon. Anyways, don't forget, there's still Americans there currently as the time of this recording of this podcast. Do not forget.
Saigon?
What?
Saigon.
No, not Saigon. The Afghanistan.
There are Americans there, but they're just kind of like, McDonald's
Tourists.
franchisers.
We did win. There is a McDonald's in Ho Chi Minh City. We all know who won the Vietnam War in the end. No, everyone calls it Saigon. It's not Saigon. I don't know. Anyways, so the
Saigon, more like
Sonic. Nope, we got it.
Because I was gonna mess it up anyways, and I like realized as it was coming out of my mouth that it was the stupidest joke ever,
And
it didn't even make any sense, even if I landed it.
I'm so happy I pulled the audible there.
No, I realized it was bad after I went for it.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would have just kept it inside.
Okay, that's fair. So anyways, basically after the Socialist Republic of Afghanistan was formed, getting back to that, and the Mujahideen, then all that junk goes down. The Soviet Union collapses and blah, 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 blah. America goes in thinking it's a smart move. It's not. We find their old king kind of running around because he's been in exile. Turns out that everyone in the country still loves him because they kind of want that whole stability back in the monarchy system that they had there, which was also, they had the kind of respect for like the tribal elements in Afghanistan and all that. Was kind of dank, at least according to the locals, and they thought it was all right. So America, what do? We have the king. He's on our side. He's willing to support us, right? And everyone in the country, all the major power players are like, yeah, we'll back him. That looks well. So what do? We decide not to establish him in any form. Like, we could have made a constitutional monarchy with him just as a figurehead, and it would have been more stable, right? No, we're going to do democracy because it's neoconservative hours, and we need to... also neoliberal, to be fair. It's really just neoliberalism, which is the slowly dying in front of our eyes. Wish it was going a little faster. Anyways.
Spot the difference.
Yeah, there's none. They're the same picture. Anyways, trying to establish a republic... really a liberal democracy, let's be real, in a country with no history of that, in a country that doesn't want it, in a country where it's not going to work.
It's almost like culture's important.
I know, right? We tried to do that for darn near 20 years, and the king just sits there and he supports the U.S., but we keep him on the sides. He dies in like 2009 or whatever. They name him Father of the Nation post-death. He's so popular in the country. And we just never do anything with him to make this stability and legitimacy flow. And then we just back out randomly after there's a solid plan to finally get out, and then Dunkirk happens. That's what I call the fall of Kabul, and it's just...
American client kingdom, ?
Yes, it would have been better than American client democracy, at least. Holy crap. Oh my gosh, it's so stupid. And then Lord Miles went there, and he became friends with the Taliban. That actually happened. Yeah. That's a fun story. Can we have him on the podcast sometime?
I wish. That's my dream new podcast. Me, Aaron... Darian, Lord Miles.
Yeah, you know what? I will do it too. So just let me know. Lord Miles, reach out to us. Keith Richards, still waiting on you. That just reminded me, Darian, of our joke we came up with. Was we're going to measure time by drug-addled rock star lifetimes.
Yep.
So like the universe is roughly 2 Keith Richards long,
depending on who you ask.
It's really more like it's a half a Keith Richards. Yeah. This podcast is like one Jim Morrison line. It's like, yeah, they're like, my last date was only a Kurt Cobain in length. It's like stupid crap like that. It's really good stuff. I like that naming scheme. It's like, how many Steven Tylers is that? That's a good one.
7.
Ooh, that's a long one. That guy's been around. That guy's like, he's like American Keith Richards. He's just never gonna die. Gosh, none of them are dead. That's so weird. No one in Aerosmith has died. It's been 50 years. That's a fun history. I could have done one on them, but maybe some other time. Music history was good. One day I'll do a music history podcast, something like that. Well, anyways, do we have any closing thoughts? I feel like we're getting towards the end here of our adventure. I don't want it to end. That's why we keep going. It's fun. This has been fun. Darian, don't leave. What are we going to do without you?
I don't know. Whatever you want.
What are you going to do without us?
Whatever I want.
Well, okay, that's fair. It's reciprocal. Libertarian.
You can't control me.
Well, I'm not trying to.
I don't respect your authority over me.
Darian, it's not worth ruling you. Oh.
Sovereign citizen Darian.
We gotta watch some Patty Mayo later tonight, apparently.
See, I'm moving to East Texas, but give me a couple of years. I might
transfer over to West Texas. I'm only humming it. You don't know which version it is.
Oh, I think I know.
It's definitely the Union version. Anyway. All right. Well, here we are. This is it. This is the end of Side Stories.
It is.
It was a good time. Thank you to all who listened. Thank you all who suffered through this episode. If you could...
Thank you to special guest Jacob.
Yeah, first time I ever had a guest come in middle of the episode. This was a solid one. Again, glad for being on now 2 episodes. Appreciate all of you. Again, to Jacob, Ryan, I guess Darian, I want to thank you as well for being on the show.
I want to thank myself as well.
Yes. Casey.
I did a very good job.
Cedric, just thank you all for being on.
I deserve an award.
Yeah. You all do. We love you all. Thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you to all our listeners. Thank you to all the wonderful people from history who have made this show possible. Thank you to Julius Caesar. Shout out to you.
Special thanks to Domitian.
Domitian again. If he ever wants to be on, let me know, bud. We'll have you. Absolutely. Would love to sit. Honestly, if I could talk to one Roman emperor, I might pick him just because that guy would have some fascinating thoughts on a lot of things. The second would be Marcus Aurelius. Actually, maybe the second might be Antonius Pius, because I want to learn the keys of doing nothing as a leader and becoming perhaps the single greatest leader of your empire by doing nothing. How do I get that at my job because I'm a manager? I need to know, how do I do nothing and become loved? Actually, that's what I'm doing right now. Never mind. Everyone loves me and I don't do that much.
Well, that's a hot take.
Well, look, all I'm saying is it's nice to have me. They don't need me. But they haven't realized that yet, so I'm going to keep acting like they need me. And until they don't, well, we'll figure that out.
I'd like to give a special thanks to my mom for never believing in me and giving me the drive to proving her wrong.
I would like to thank my mom for always believing in me, and she watched every episode of this terrible podcast. Now, there are some legitimate episodes I'm proud of. She is the only person who will suffer through this whole terrible podcast, this one we're currently doing, which I love, by the way. This is easily the best and the worst episode.
I'm so glad that now I'm learning about the audience.
The audience was my mom, all my friends from high school and college, Jacob for the one time. You shush. You're here. I met you in high school.
I don't listen to it.
That's fair. That's pretty much sums up this whole show. I just record them. I don't know how to watch them.
Yeah, I live it. I don't need to rewatch or re-listen to it.
I would like to never re-experience my life ever, actually. You're like the kind of person, like, if you could go back,
would
would
not
you
this
know? Part.
Not
this. I would like to relive any other part of my life, particularly that time that I thought I was coming down with Bell's palsy.
Including that time I did come down with Bell's palsy.
And then got better.
And then got better.
It's a miracle, folks.
And then I started this podcast. And I kind of pray for
Bell's palsy
the days of my youth when I had Bell's palsy.
Oh, my gosh. Elon Musk, by the way, thanks for buying Twitter. If you ever want to be on the show, let us know. He'll do it.
Do you want to buy us too?
Yeah, can we get a buyout of Side Stories?
No, not the podcast. Like
us.
me.
Yeah. Look, I don't care what you have. It's going to be better than what we're currently doing. That's what Darian.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, I'm moving to your town, so
I am unironically hoping that Elon Musk buys out the company I work for, because it'd be a lot better. I'm not saying it because I don't need them knowing, okay? I've never said it on the podcast. They don't need to know. You shush. Plausible deniability.
The military-industrial complex?
No, it's not as fun.
Kmart?
It's not as evil. It's a little bit above Kmart.
Deep State Kmart?
No, that's Big Lots. We don't talk about no Big Lots. Is that even around anymore?
I've never seen one.
Can we do the history of like failed retail chains one day?
You have to start a new podcast to do that.
Can we get Company Man on here? That guy's great. You ever watch Company Man on YouTube?
Yeah.
Good stuff. History of Culver's. Shout out to that episode. I am just passing for time so I can hit the next threshold, by the way, because I want it to be an hour and 30 almost exactly. So this is Side Stories, the movie.
You know what? Special thanks to Culver's for being just a really solid fast food restaurant.
We went to Culver's a lot while recording this show. Darn right.
You went to Culver's a lot while recording the show, and we just go to Culver's a lot in general?
Well, yeah. Well, okay. I just like Culver's. Gosh, get off my back.
We go to Culver's a lot while recording the show because we go to Culver's a lot in general. That's how the math shakes out.
I'm just going to point this out. I've gone to Culver's with you guys like freaking 8 times minimum. That's a low
And yes,
minimum.
Jacob, there are
In
times that we
multiple
go to
states.
Culver's without you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is you're telling me that there is like at least 3 times that, because considering podcast episodes, you guys have to eat, a certain amount of time. Look, I'm just saying the math is adding up to a lot of friggin' Culvers.
It was Culver's and Dairy Queen. That's what we went to.
Lots
a lot.
of Dairy Queen.
We go to Dairy Queen almost every time we see each other. Bruh. Or Cold Stone.
Okay, see, that's a little more normal. Like,
going to DQ right here's the most normal thing on the planet. You live in North Dakota.
no, I'm saying that, like, Dairy Queen, Culver's kind of the same type of place. You get your food,
No.
frozen
Okay,
stuff.
there's the hot take of the night.
Yeah, maybe if it's like a grill and chill DQ, I can kind of see it, but Culver's is one better. And two,
Yeah.
though I always
Better
will,
ice cream and better food.
I will always defend the chicken at Dairy Queen as being shockingly good, though. Especially the sauce. The sauce there is good.
Sauce.
The sauce.
I mean, it's like the whole Dairy Queen. Like, they can't say ice cream. They have to say treat because it legally cannot be called ice cream.
Or soft serve or whatever they say.
They say soft serve. They say all that other stuff. Whereas, Culver's, they just say custard.
Well, it is custard. At least it's actually different, unlike DQ, which is just ice cream but soft. Softer. I don't know.
Look, none of us are ice cream scientists here, and I would like to meet one.
Dude, how do I get this as a job? Or how do I become like a food analyst? I don't know. Can I?
A food analyst?
A foodie? What do you call someone? There's going to be what's the word for the study of food?
It's gastronomy.
Neat. Okay, I learned something. Cool. This podcast will teach you something, all right.
And molecular gastronomy is becoming really big.
Who cares what molecules taste like?
This molecule tastes like cherry.
Yeah, that's what you
This
do,
one
right?
tastes like blueberry.
This one tastes like chocolate.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter the one. You gotta have the whole.
No. What it is like basically like the chemistry of making good food. Like not just this flavor goes.
I
well
know
with
that's
this
called
flavor.
being a chef.
It's like the actual like chemical explanation for how
Is Gordon
cooking
Ramsay
works.
like a microgastronomist or whatever it was called?
molecular gastronomist?
Whatever.
I
do the
you
podcast.
have to
I don't
think
listen
smaller, Aaron.
to it. The smallest
Think
you
about
can
your
of.
ambitions in life, and then go just a little bit smaller than that.
I want to be a park ranger.
Okay, not that small.
I want to become U.S. president.
There you go.
Well, anyways, do we have any closing thoughts? So, what do we have to say for the annals of history here? What do we want to be in the history books as our parting thoughts, words of wisdom?
Get wrecked.
You're asking us for words of wisdom. That's why there was a long silence there.
I should have understood the crowd I was asking.
I
Sorry.
can't even speak.
Yeah, that I've learned that after all these episodes.
I mean, I can give you like grunts of wisdom.
We really should have been on the Joe Rogan podcast. That whole show is, which again, I love that show, but it's just man grunting for like 2 hours. And it's like, tell me more. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna stop making funny noise. Maybe it's just unga bunga. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we can make a whole podcast of our pre-recording banter.
Yeah, pre-recorded. I mean,
We did just make random noises for a solid 2 minutes today.
30. What are you talking about? 2. It was a 30-minute escapade of acting like monkeys.
But I'm talking about the specific part where
we just made
did
the funny noises.
Actually make weird
Yes,
noises.
that was our warm-up, is pretty much just talking about crap that doesn't relate to the episode, which we do anyways in the episode, and then making like random animal noises. That was basically warmed up for almost every single episode. Except for the first few where we were just desperately nervous because we were always afraid of recording. Then we decided we didn't care. We were just going to make monkey noises.
And see how far we've come.
We're still making monkey noises, but we're making better. We're making gorilla noises now. I've moved up in the world.
You've gotten in a lot of practice after all. Before all of these, you're really getting well trained, huh?
Ook.
The worst thing is, as you're saying this, I'm just sitting here with like not even a smile on my face, just like, yeah, I see it.
This podcast was the most revealing thing we've ever put on the internet.
Yep. Well,
No, okay, I don't want you to go on about anything. I don't need to know.
I will drop a link in the episode description. It's $9.99 a month.
What, for your newsletter?
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. Oh God. No, we're not getting. Yeah.
We're not.
No,
You're not putting the link.
we're not plugging that one.
Well, luckily, I'm the one who types up
He's
the episode
putting it on the
description.
gram, and it's okay. Doing it for the whatever. Okay. Gosh.
Look, all I'm saying is that you may get more viewers complaining about it.
No, I think our current
Aaron,
audience
it's time
will
to
leave.
sell out.
No, we did that by the second episode, and we still don't have any advertisers. There's no point. You're at the point where we actually should have integrity because we don't make any money anyways.
Did you have a beach vacation episode?
No, but we could.
That was our Utah episode, wasn't
Utah was the closest thing. We did go to the beach, aka the Salt Lake, which is not a great beach, but it's a fun time.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was a pretty interesting beach.
Yeah, you were. Why weren't you on that episode? You were there with us.
I have no idea.
it? Because we didn't invite him. I feel like that's the simple answer.
I guess I should have asked. Huh.
Well, I don't even remember when you guys did it. Like,
After we
After
went
we
to Utah.
went.
oh, well, that would be why. Because, I was kind of only with you guys there, not like after. You know.
Right, we still lived in Grand Forks after that for a
Oh,
little
yeah,
bit.
that's right.
Right.
I wondering why there was no memory of this. I'm just like, did they do this on the trip? That would have been very weird. Like, why would they do that?
Yeah, we.
Yeah, it was in the car while you were sleeping.
On that thing. I also never left the same freaking seat in the car. I know.
That's what you think. I may have slipped you.
Yeah, we threw him in the trunk a few times and bobbled him around. That's why his neck hurt the next day because it was really darn funny.
We slapped him on the top of the car
Like
a couple
a
times.
deer.
That explains so much. I thought on the way back that it just went really fast because I was reading that Warhammer book, but then I tried running it and I didn't remember half the stuff in it. So I think I was just imagining that I did that while you drugged me.
It explains your beautiful windswept hair. It was just flapping in the wind on the interstate on top of Aaron's car.
Yep, that's what it was doing. That's what we did. That's also why you get random flashback dreams of Wendigos attacking you because that's basically what we did to get you on top of the car.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's in my dream material. I mean, I've told you about the other one. Aaron, our next podcast idea is Jacob's weird dreams because like post podcast, I'm gonna drone on about something that happened like 2 nights ago. But no,
He does have amazing history themed dreams, by the way.
yeah, but
true.
no, Wendigo. Yeah, Utah, Wendigo. Yeah, that sounds about right. Honestly.
We didn't even go to Utah. We just drove to Moorhead.
It looks the same, actually. It's just way crappier in Moorhead.
That was all just a fever dream for you.
Wow. So you're telling me that the Mormons aren't real, or are they in the
Moorheadmans.
They all just live in
I
Moorhead.
just made it all up. Okay, that makes sense.
Fear and loathing in Moorhead. Well, folks, I think this has been a very revealing episode of Side Stories. There are lots of revelations, lots of fun stuff. Guest appearances. I mean, what more can you ask for? It was like 5 times the length of an average episode, and it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the actual final words. This is it. I'm calling it after this. What do you got?
Pass.
You know, that makes too much sense.
Can you repeat the question?
No, you lost your privileges.
Okay. I don't know.
Nothing.
Thanks for putting me on the spot, Aaron.
You're welcome. It's called a podcast. Have you heard of it?
What's that?
Derry's the only person here's my last event. Derry's the only person who's like, we should make this thing where we talk. And then I ask him things like, why would you have me talk? It's basically like a Seinfeld bit. It's like, imagine, if you will, doing a podcast with someone who doesn't want to speak.
I can talk, just not about
anything that
you're
relates to
asking
the
me about.
podcast. So that's defeating the purpose.
I have a lot of things I can talk about. You shot down my OnlyFans plug.
You shush. Because that's 1, not real. 2, we're not plugging on the podcast. And 3, Quit being a degenerate. Don't use OnlyFans. That's my other hot take.
You talking about talk? Do you just talk seductively into like a microphone, or do you not even do that?
No, it's me screaming into like various fans, and it makes that weird like buzzing noise.
He's fully clothed, by the way, and nothing else happens. All he does is scream into fans. Only fans. If you didn't get that joke.
I mean, I did, but I also didn't like it, so I just kind of submitted my own mental reality of that one. I'm going to be honest.
Okay, it's also a bladeless fan on special occasions.
Wait, are you the one who comments on all my videos then?
Yeah, I'm saying, you're doing this wrong. Wrong website.
All right. Well, I think that's the end of Side Stories here. We're gonna wrap it up again. This show is now history. Thank you all for watching. God bless. Hope you all had a good time, and I guess you know what? The future's uncertain, and the end is always near. So be sure to enjoy what time you got. Be prepared for anything, and don't be a stupid person.
Sometimes the end is closer than you think.
Yep. Just like right now.
Bye.